for Natasha, so it's called and it says ASN means a lot to me because I got it down on one of my papers. I write papers, little poems and stuff because we're coming to the end of the world. But anyway, I've got to sing many times, and people don't know that the secret societies, they're taking out people. This is a picture of my favorite president. Abraham Lincoln is special to me. I drew his picture and George Washington. I'm an artist. I did 300 faces. I draw faces. I used to do buffalo heads when I was a little kid. Teacher's pet. I always got high grades, and then I had to learn to read in the 3rd grade. So then I had to start over again. But anyway, this is John Kennedy in the Vatican 2 days before he was killed. The black pope is Johnson, and the white pope was Paul VI. 2 days before he was killed. That's something to think about. Anyway, I've got here, this is a picture of the man who started me. Emma let me sing Mexican music, which is the Venida Ramos, Come Let Us Worship. And my friend Michael will probably put it for my starting to let you know that I'm not just joking. I do know how to sing and play guitar. My dad says I was a real good singer, but my brother Lance could sing better than me. But he got into alcohol. He was with the cheerleaders. And you know, when you're a cheerleader helper, you hold these beautiful girls up with their legs. And he went off into drinking after the sports. And so he went into hard work, and hard workers drink also hard. So he died from a car wreck going like 100 miles an hour. Car flipped over, snapped his neck. So I know all about what you should eat. I got a car when I was in high school if I didn't smoke or drink. So God was so good to me and my brother Dennis. But my brother Dennis, he couldn't leave Pepsi-Cola alone. They called him Sarsaparilla, but he was an awful good brother. I used to carry him on my shoulders up and down the river, and I got real strong. I was real little, 4'6". But when I got into college, I grew. I'm up to 5'4". That's big for me. And I could do 22 chin-ups. I could squat 375 pounds. Now that's a lot of weight for a guy that weighs 120 pounds. Anyway, I was undefeated in pole vault. I could climb up the pole. They made a law called the Mike Wallace law because you're not allowed to climb the pole no more. So that was my famous, they made a law just for me. And then I was undefeated in 440 relay because I'm a dumb logger, and they stagger you on the 440 relay, and I didn't understand because I'm lazy. I just like the pole vault. So they made me run as fast as I could. I never even practiced the run, and we broke our high school record. Well, anyway, here's some of my stuff. This is a 1920 Espanol Adventista I got from Dario Taylor, which I love dearly, and I sing to him Psalms 105. And this is my mandolin that I built myself. It was all there, but no front. So I took a guitar back and put it on the front. Now, it's not worth nothing to you, but I bought a brand new one and traded with one of my Mexican friends because I wanted it back because I knew I could never waste that much. You got to take the veneer real tall and sand it down. And then it don't fit because it's shaped as a V. So there's no way it's going to fit. I just prayed and I snapped it. It snapped right in place. And I made it into electric. I've got 7 violins. I can't play violin. I just picked up a 1958. And I get all this. This is my friend J.W. His name is John Wesley. I got his tie. I get my beautiful yoke. This yoke is to Scioto, Oregon. It came in 1845. I believe it's the real McCoy that was on the 300 wagons. Plus, I told you about my 1844 Bible. It's right here. There's another book here, Steps to Christ. It's a 1905. It's really special. This is a book called As the Heart Panteth After the Water Brook. I've got the whole chapter set to melody, plus 43. It's written in 1848. I've got Leroy Froome, one of his books. The best one was Francis Mexia. He was from Argentina. He built 300 Adventist schools back in 1915. And it's amazing what he did because the Pope would let their people have sports. They go to Argentina and they'd use musket gun and shoot the Argentine people as monkeys. Now, I'm not making this stuff up. It's all in the books of Leroy Froome. Now, Leroy Froome, he's just like Steve Bohr and Steve Wohlberg. We all got our faults, but we're pressing on, and I pray for they make eternity, and I pray for myself. I got enough of my own fault. This is the book right here called 1845, and it's written by Wallace Descent, and it's got all the pictures in it of all the old pioneers that come across on the wagon train. I've got here, Leroy Froome, by the way, was the one who hid the charts for 50 years. in the publishing house. Nobody knew they even existed. So it's like new light that just come on. And we usually have huge ones back behind. But my favorite chapter in the Bible is called Isaiah 53. The reason I like it so much, because Isaiah 53 says, and they hid as it were their faces from them. How we hide our faces? We aren't putting the charts up here like we should. We usually have our 1843 and 1850, but it hurts people's feelings. They think there's mistakes on it. No, it's perfect. It's done just perfectly. Those who gave the judgment or cry have the correct view of the daily. I'm a Haskell man, a Gilbert the Jew. He was the one who found the truth of the daily paganism. And the word sacrifice, it's added by man's wisdom. There's a lot of words they put in the Bible that shouldn't be there. But this one was called life and death for an Adventist in the second coming of Jesus. But it's amazing that we're gone now 175 years. This is the anniversary of the 1844. If you count your figures out right, look up 1844 and go 2019. This is the 175th anniversary. So this is another miracle. I got to be filmed by my brother Michael III, and he's doing a beautiful job here of letting me have my instruments here. I have an 1893 guitar, fully restored to $1,600. It's a Washburn, and Washburn was the one that A.G. Daniels, Jack Daniels, him and Willie White, they're not Ellen White, remember. These are just servants of the Lord, and people get kind of tempted with money like John Harvey Kellogg. People don't understand that you got to stay, just read Ellen White. Don't go take ideas from them, but don't. It's not law. Ellen White's words are law because she wrote the whole Bible with her works. Let's see, there's Patriarch and Prophets. There's there's Desire of Ages, Prophets and King, and then Great Controversy, which tells about beautiful Martin Luther and all the reformers that came in, and now they say that Martin Luther's a drunk. I've got here a picture of, right here, in a newspaper clipping. And I didn't pay attention, but my dear Lutheran, I just love the Lutherans, he was head elder. He left his church because they started calling Luther a drunk. So he went and married somebody else. I think he was probably 85 when he married the second wife. But all of a sudden, and 2 years later, I had it sitting on the floor, it said William Harvey White. Well, didn't Willie White love John Harvey Kellogg? I call him Mr. Flake. He kind of flaked off the truth. But he started a big business. God blessed him. He was the best surgeon in the world. One out of, 120 that died? It's usually 50%. Anyway, it's got a picture of William Harvey. He was born in San Mateo, California. That's 2 miles away from Mountain View, where the publishing housing was moved to. And Ellen White said, I'm moving my family there. So I think Willie White moved his family down there. He named his kid William Harvey after John Harvey Kellogg. And there's a senior and a junior. And the miracle is, I got a famous guitar here. The case is over here. It belongs to Barry McGuire and Scan McKinney. The chance of getting this guitar is another divine appointment. Nobody could have got it but me. And the man that told me to get it, because I'm dumb, I don't look around, he says, Mike, you've got to have this. I'm a gospel rocker, but you've got to have this for your music. There's no guitar better than this Martin 1969 12-string. It's at the top of the line. It's even got the fat man, Scan McKinney. Scan McKinney's dad was B.B. McKinney. He wrote the Methodist songbook. They know what they're talking about. This guy was a professional. He was fat, so I've got his belt. This pink strap is what was on it. I almost lost it 3 years ago. I let little children play my instrument. They put it in the hot sun, and so they almost warped my guitar. So I praise the Lord. I still got my, it's called Christian Minstrel Singers, and so I watched it in the music store for 2 years on the wall. I said, Lord, I can't afford that $4,000 or $5,000. Lord, don't let nobody take it. And finally, the guy wanted some money for chemotherapy or something. His name's Scan McKinney. And at the other music store, there was a mandolin. And guess what it had on it? Scan McKinney. It said McKinney right on it. So I've got it loaned out to a Mexican. I love him dearly. His name's Michael. I'm hoping I get it back from my good brother because it's such a beautiful, it's a $10,000 instrument. It's hard to turn up. This one here almost into Nicaragua. I loaned it to a Mexican lady. And luckily my friend Emma rescued it for me. She's a dear lady, but it's hard to turn down a high quality instrument. They're kind of beat up like Willie Nelson, but they play so beautiful. And since they have a history behind them too, because I think they're all worth $10,000 each. They're just awesome. But anyway, down on the bottom of the clipping, it says that he was a missionary. So he left the Adventist faith and became like a Baptist or something. He went to Borneo. He did electricity. But he was the same age as me, 2 years older, born in 1948. But here in the family it said Nate. And my friend one day, he says, Mike, he says, I never asked you what church you go to. I said, I'm an Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist. And the way he looked at me, it wasn't like, oh, really? He said, oh, really? So all of a sudden when I read this word Nate, and I who have these divine appointments, I still say Nate is the great-great-grandson of Ellen G. White, and I got my guitar through a White family member. Now, these are just big stories, but like I say, not many people can. I got proof, I got backings, I got papers, everything. I got another book called Robinson Heron with a diary where they found this gold. But my dad, he's a sad Adventist when he was a high school kid. He married my mom real young, and he's a logger, but good hard worker. But when they work hard, they drink hard. Well, they had their I call them sad Adventists together. He went down in Nevada, and this old guy named Link showed him a gold vein. Now that's really my biggest story there is, almost bigger than, it can't be bigger than 1844-45, but let you know how God's divine appointments led. So I pushed on him and pushed on him, got all my information, and they were drinking, see, so that they don't have good mind reception. He was 92 years old, this old guy Link. He found the gold in Nevada of the three finds there. And so this is one, he couldn't tell the owner, he didn't want to sell it, he was so mad he paid like $300,000 for each find. Well, he made millions and millions and millions. I took my son up there to find it, and I found it, and I haven't done anything with it. But anyway, there he was. Dad said he's in a red blazer, and I got a red blazer, and I went right by him, and I knew my mouth was too big, I might blow it, my cover, and so he was 90-some years old, but I never went back again, because I thought I might see him one more time and probably talk to him. But I'm hoping God will do a miracle, and I can use this money for missionary purposes, like my friend Michael here when I first met him. That's how he liked me. He heard me do Isaiah 53. And watch closely. Isaiah 53, every semi-truck is 53 feet long. That's the extent of God's mercy. And my brother, he married a nice lady from San Diego. Her cousin wrote the book called Herbie 53. I'm not making this stuff up. Herbie 53 means Hebrew. And so we look at Arphaxad, Selah, Heber, Peleg, Ru. The 4 is the holy line. And so you have, I got it here someplace, but I'm afraid my chair will tip over. But there's 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Jesus Christ is 7 times 7. He's the 49th after the flood. Remember, the world started over. So there's Mike Wallace 60 minutes. I'm Mike Wallace 60 generations. Because I proved that Adam to Jesus is exactly 60 generations. It sounds crazy, but if you look at the 7, 7, Abia is the middle. Above it is Salmon, all the ocean named after him. That's Rahab of Jericho Wall's husband, the spy. But during Joshua time, the sun stopped, remember, for 24 hours? God is the creator of the sun. It's in the 4th holy line, so it's called the Hebrew line to Jesus Christo, to Jesus Christ. And below it is Hezekiah. So Abia, above it, is the sun that stopped 24 hours, and below it the sun went backwards 10 degrees. Babylon came over, made us all go into persecution, and they made slaves, and there was Daniel and the 3 wise men. Remember, they ate pulse. Your pulse is named after that. They ate pulse. That was water and greens. And I just found in the writings of Arthur White, where Ellen White every morning ate dandelion greens and mustard greens cooked. Every morning she had it. So my wife feeds me a green drink smoothie with garlic in it, but she puts pineapple, orange to it. But if I eat too much apple or orange, something real sweet, like dates, my nose itches. So I call myself a wino, and I have to back off a little bit. But I hope this presentation was interesting. And like I said, I've got here Honey Out of the Rock. It's a 1905 old Adventist book, song book. I got my very first song book with famous signatures in them. And I just praise the Lord that I played trumpet. I got a C trumpet, B flat, and I made myself my own G trumpet here by just making it extended longer. And anyway, I've done a lot of crazy things. My biggest thing is my accidents. I've had 7 death accidents. I fell 15 feet out of an apple tree, and I just like a dumb monkey with his sugar cube in a coconut. I couldn't let go of my bucket because I had it full grip. I picked it from my Muslim friends because my cook, I just love him dearly. And I couldn't give up my grapes. They're seedless Niagara. They're called a Nimrod grape. And so I held on to it. I snapped all my arm muscles. If I would have been operated on, I couldn't play guitar no more. This is real. This only happened about 2 years ago. And so when I hit the ground, I snapped all my bones, but I got a black eye. I didn't go to the Indian restaurant because I was in too bad a shape. But I ruined all my grapes. But the bucket of grapes saved my life. I sprung up. I hit the ground at 15, 20 feet, sprung up, and it saved my life. And then I sang with broken hand to the Mexicans that next Saturday. And then I had one where I went through a stop sign because the brakes were bad. My dad's a hard-working logger. And anyway, the car coming 60, I was doing 60, trying to get ahead of the cars, and I was just going to pile up on the other end. Guess what? I couldn't make it. So I swerved this way and to the right, the whole 4x4 with a 4x4. I had a four-wheel drive on a four-wheel drive. That's heavy stuff, man. 350, big motors. Went clear up in the air, swung. When I said dent, they went by at 120 miles an hour. Now, I'm not making this stuff up. I bawled for a whole 20 minutes, no brakes. I didn't get no ticket or anything. I just praised the Lord I'm alive. Then I jumped across Devil's Churn when I was first married, my first wife. So stupid. Devil's Churn is a roaring thing with dew and moss, and I thought I could just hit the rocks. My hand slid down 3 or 4 feet. I almost was in the ocean, swam out. And I was frozen to death in Montana. And when I was in Montana, I met a real nice guy. His name was Anderson. Anyway, Jerry just loved George Wallace. And so my son was named George Wallace. And that's a bad name in the Black South. And anyway, he says, he wrote, George was running for president back in 1976. He says, there's a man that named his son after you. Well, I didn't. I named him after my uncle that I love dearly, because he always got me a new shirt at Christmas every year, because we were poor at Christmas, and I always looked good going to school, because my Uncle George made me feel good because I had a brand new shirt. Didn't have nothing else, but anyway, it made me feel real good. So anyway, Jerry, he had a problem. He smoked 4 cigarettes at a time. He had Alzheimer like you've never seen. Nicest man. Oh, he owned 3 T-Birds, 3 56 T-Birds. And so here I am. I go to his house. He says his wife's not all there. I meet her, and he went in to go show me a shotgun. So he raced in. I mean, he owned a big company down in San Diego or something. Had lots of cars. You know, he's retired. He's like 75 or so. Anyway, he had called a bastard card. It's something, if you do 150, you can escape law. That's how bad it was. He would walk 20 miles. You could see his toes behind his shoes. But anyways, he says, Mike, I got a problem. She said, I know, that's why God sent me. I think that's why I went to Montana. She says, Mike, he takes that shotgun and he pulls the trigger at me every night. It's a double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun. He says, this has been on for 3 or 4 nights. He says, I'm so glad you come to the house finally. So anyway, he says, Mike, can you take him up to the St. Helena? There's a veterans where they take care of the people that were war soldiers and stuff. He says, I'll do my best. I'll tell him we'll go gold panning together, because he had a dowser machine and I had a White's electronic metal detector. I just bought it, expensive thing, $750. I still don't know how to operate it. It's still in the box, kind of thing. Anyway, so sure enough, I got him going, and he didn't get shot that night. So, but there was one shell in the barrel, always one shell. So he just trades it off, and he's delirious. So anyway, she sent us money every Christmas because he's glad to be alive. Well, guess what? Just before I went to the house, he promised me one of the 56 T-Birds. Well, do you think I could handle accepting that 56 T-Bird? No, I couldn't accept having it. So I actually owned to me a 56 T-Bird, and my uncle, so I restored his 46 Woody. That was a special deal because he has no children, and so I named my son after him. And it wasn't George Wallace of the South, it was my Uncle George. But he was an architect, the most lovely man you've ever met. Humble, smart. I've got his Bible here too. I call it the Millionaire's Bible, 1915. He was stolen. He went to Texas, his dad did. He come back and my grandpa Charles stole him. It's a bad story. I'm not going to bring into that story. But I have a lot of things that's happened to me. Anyway, I love the Lord. He's done a lot of miraculous things. There's 3 other times I was almost killed. I was squeezed in a sander where my hands, and it went boom. I should have been killed, but the guy reached down for the pedal to shut the pedal off of the sander for 2-inch plywood, and it just went boom. And so within seconds, I would have been cut in half. I got 2 or 3 other ones, but maybe another video I'll tell that. But thank you for listening to me, and keep your eye on Jesus Christ. Don't your government, on the people that of the world. Stick your eye on the old King James. Don't get the Nieve. The NIV is not the one. You want to go for the old King James, word for word. God bless you all, and thank you, Michael, for doing this interview for me. And I hope this was an interesting conversation on the Mike Wallace 4445 Wagon Trail. God bless you. Thank you, Michael.